Good evening, and welcome to the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio's 66th Annual Humanitarian Awards. There has never been a more important time than now to elevate critical humanitarian efforts and raise awareness for the purpose of support. As a student of history, I have often wondered how the future will reflect back on the times in which we find ourselves now. The last several months have shown us that now is a time for action, not just reflection. Across our country, we are hearing leaders speak out against the societal injustices we see all too often. We see citizens standing up to demand change and advocating for an end to injustice and inequity. At KeyBank, we are and will continue to be part of that discourse and that change. We are focused on taking action as individuals and as a company. KeyBank has a tradition and a legacy that serves as a strong foundation for our path forward. We are proud of the diverse and inclusive culture we have built, and we work every day to cultivate and curate a workplace where equality and respect are not an aspiration, but an expectation. For over 20 years, KeyBank has supported and partnered with the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio in its mission to eliminate bias, bigotry, and racism. We are proud of the way our community comes together to help neighbors feel valued and respected. And going forward, each of us has a role to play in using our voice to demand a just and equitable experience for every citizen. This year's honoree, Sally Grease, sets an example for all of us to follow. She is a force for change and for equality. Thank you, Sally, for demonstrating how we can be part of the change we need to see. And congratulations on a much-deserved recognition. I hope you all enjoy the evening and join KeyBank in supporting the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio's work to continue to create a community where all people are connected, respected, and valued. Thank you.
Dee and I are honored tonight to serve as co-chairman alongside Dan and Molly Walsh. The Diversity Center is a vital resource into helping us build an even better community here in Northeast Ohio. Their commitment to ending bias, bigotry, and racism over the past 90 years is truly remarkable and has served a great need. It is exceptionally important that we as adults set a great example for our young people who are extremely impressionable. Our country needs much more thoughtful comments like, "Help me understand why you feel the way you do," rather than mindless tweets filled with inappropriate language that set a very poor example for our young people. Our country faces tremendous challenges between COVID-19 and the social unrest that we have all gone through for the past several months. We thank you for your investment in both your time and your treasure. Together, we can reach more students, educators, and business leaders to help Northeast Ohio be an even better place to live in the days, months, and years to come. Thank you to the staff, all the volunteers, and everyone responsible for making tonight such a success. And of course, congratulations to all the honorees. Thank you for your support for the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio.
Hello, and welcome to the 66th Annual Humanitarian Award Celebration for the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio. I'm Russ Mitchell of WKYC TV, Channel 3, and I am honored to serve as your MC tonight. Since 1927, the Diversity Center has worked hard to eliminate bias, bigotry, racism, and anti-Semitism in our region. This organization has been very close to my heart since I moved to Cleveland 9 years ago. I am proud to be a member of the board of directors, especially now. The fact is, we need the Diversity Center more than ever to champion social justice, create inclusive learning environments, and build diverse workplaces across Northeast Ohio. Tonight is about honoring and supporting this important work. Every year, the Center presents its Humanitarian Award to an outstanding individual who has demonstrated exemplary leadership in civic, charitable, and professional organizations. Our 2020 honoree is Sally Grease, founder of Grease Financial Partners and board chair of the Cleveland Foundation. Sally has worked tirelessly to contribute to our community. We will also present awards to 2 outstanding educators and a student who are all championing diversity and inclusion in education. and will present the PwC Outstanding Lead Diversity Alumni Award. I would like to thank our honorary award celebration co-chairs, Dee and Jimmy Haslam, and Molly and Dan Walsh for their support, and our board celebration committee, led by co-chairs Tracy Longpre and Rob Soroka. The theme of this year's celebration is "The Moment is Now." With all the strife in our region and the nation, the Diversity Center is taking action to make Northeast Ohio a place where all people are connected, respected, and valued. Throughout our program this evening, you can support our school and youth services programs through our Fund a Need program. Look to the chat on your screen for details. Fund a Need will be active throughout the event. Now, we're going to hear from two community leaders about diversity and inclusion in the fight for social justice.
Greetings, I'm Juwan Zakarim Colvin, pastor of the Olivet Institutional Baptist Church here in Cleveland. I don't have to tell you that we are living in some challenging times that have revealed some old wounds in our country that we have still yet to heal. From the killing of unarmed Black men and women, to efforts to mute and marginalize the voting rights of every American, to the socioeconomic disparities that have long existed but are further revealed and widened by the coronavirus pandemic. It seems that we are being pulled away from one another at all sides at a time when we need to find ways to do just the opposite. There's an African proverb, faster alone, farther together. For me, that's what the work of Peggy Zone Fisher and her team at the Diversity Center represents. They are doing the hard work of trying to bring us together. You know, we can make a list of the vast number of things that, if we let them, will keep us deeply entrenched in our tribes and camps of difference. Most of these things, honestly, have never changed. They have only gotten repackaged into new forms of bigotry and discrimination with each passing generation. What's interesting and innovative about the Diversity Center is that it flips that on the head. Instead of using differences as a means to silo us off from one another, they do the work to push us to find in our personal and cultural stories the shared values that make us all human. And that's what these times demand of us, to rediscover our own and each other's humanity in all of its shades, expressions, manifestations, and even its challenges. You know, we all have a story. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Elijah McClain. They had stories. And whether or not we choose to continue to do the work to make our society and its systems more just and fair and equitable for everyone will tell whether their stories and the story of our country leads to anything that reflects the reform, the redemption, and the reconciliation that we are in such need of at this time. It's a hard job. It's tough work. But this is not the time to turn away. This is not the time to lull ourselves into indifference or complacence. No, this is the time we need to actually double down to resolve to say to ourselves, we are in this. And whether we believe it or not, and while it may not look like it, we're actually winning. That's right, we're winning. With each passing generation, we are seeing that the children and young people living and learning today are less prejudiced, more open, and more willing to embrace difference than those who came before. No, the path has not been easy or perfect, but we are making progress. Our job is to continue to plant through programs and initiatives like those offered by the Diversity Center, those seeds, so that when those young people are ready to take the lead to finish the work that we have started, we have given them a head start by leaving them a world a little better off than the way we found it. Remember, faster alone, farther together. So, are times tough? Yes. Do we have our work ahead of us? Indeed. Is it going to take all of the commitment and courage that we can gather? No doubt. But I'm ready to build. I'm ready to work. I'm ready to plant. How about you?
The Diversity Center was created nearly 100 years ago as the National Conference of Christians and Jews to eliminate bias, bigotry, and racism. We help people to rethink prejudice, stereotypes, and labels. We also help children, teens, and young adults embrace their differences and become change agents since they were young. They help educators create learning environments to promote respect, acceptance, and inclusion. And we also help organizations to build diverse teams and inclusive workplaces. My name is Margaret Wong, hello, and I've been working with the Diversity Center for almost from the day I stepped foot into Cleveland, which is in the 1970s. I'm a Chinese immigration and lawyer, born and raised in Hong Kong. I see the effects of bias, bigotry, and racism at every turn in my daily work. I started my own practice more than 40 years ago with one desk and no secretary because I saw how people treat people like us because of our heritage and my agenda. So when I was invited 50 years ago to help the Diversity Center, it used to be called NCCJ, and I was already on the board. So I'm probably one of the oldest member there who used to be with NCCJ. So I really believe in their mission and their vision, and it's doing so well now that it's just awesome. Normally for older organizations whose mission and vision have to continuously evolve, you don't see organizations that fights the way they fight now. So please do contribute to us. If you want anything, call me personally or call the Diversity Center. I would love to answer all your questions. Please help us and contribute to our cause.
The moment is now. The Diversity Center is the leading advocate and resource for social justice in our region. Dr. Amanda Cooper, our Chief Program Officer, is here to tell us about the organization's programs.
The Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio is a human relations organization that has been dedicated to eliminating bias, bigotry, and racism since 1927, when we were originally founded as the National Conference of Christians and Jews. We began with a focus on interfaith work, and over the years have grown and expanded to reflect the scope of the needs of our communities. Today, the needs of our community are greater than ever. We are at the forefront of Northeast Ohio efforts to create communities where all people are connected, respected, and valued. Each year, we work with over 14,000 student and educator participants as we support them in the development of the awareness, knowledge, and skills needed to be agents of change in their schools and communities. As we partner with schools throughout Northeast Ohio, we hear countless stories of division, hate, and cruelty. From the bullying of Asian and Asian American students found in fourth grade classrooms, all related to COVID-19, to an increase in acts of hate in schools and fights breaking out between our student groups, we are in many ways more divided and more resistant to talking with one another than ever before. When students experience acts of hate and bullying, they do not feel safe and their learning is hindered. When members of our community can't work or communicate with one another across differences, our country suffers. Through our programming, we build communication and leadership skills, and we create inclusive environments that foster learning and educational success for all students. We work towards the fulfillment of our mission and vision through three main program areas: Shift Consulting, our professional services division; Lead Diversity, our diversity leadership development program; and our school and youth programs. Through each of these areas, we build the capacity of members of our community to engage in diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice work. Through this work, we help to challenge and dismantle systemic racism. We teach people how to recognize and rethink the labels, stereotypes, and prejudices that prevent us from uniting as a community, and we empower people, schools, and organizations to move from awareness to action. Now, more than ever, our students are looking to all of us to help. With your support, we can teach the next generation of leaders who are eager to address injustice in all of its forms. The moment to join them is now. Thank you from all of us at the Diversity Center and the incredible students we serve.
Now, let's hear from a local student who was inspired by the Diversity Center's youth programming and our hashtag Rethink curriculum to create powerful programs about racism and injustice for his school and his temple.
Hello, my name is Jordan Klein, and I am a freshman at Solon High School. When I was in 7th grade, I searched for a meaningful bar mitzvah project. I chose the injustice of racism. My parents told me about the Diversity Center, and when I visited the website, I knew I had found the right resource. The Rethink Labels curriculum and videos really affected me. I reached out to the Diversity Center, and they helped me envision how I could use the Rethink curriculum in my bar mitzvah project, which was very well received. After my bar mitzvah project, I donated books to my school district on topics of systemic racism and anti-Semitism. I read more and more books. This spring and summer, completely disheartened by the events that were taking place in our country, I became even more motivated to learn about and teach about injustice in all of its forms. I joined the Racial Justice Task Force at my temple. Using the Diversity Center's Rethink Labels curriculum, my rabbi and I created 3 Zoom sessions for 5th, 6th, and 7th graders at the temple. It was a wonderful experience. I love knowing that I can make a difference in students' lives. I thank the Diversity Center for giving me this opportunity, and I'm determined to continue this important social justice work throughout my high school years. The moment is now.
Good evening. I'm Tracy Longpre, Vice President of Supply Chain at Applied Industrial Technologies, Board Director for the Diversity Center, as well as co-chair for this humanitarian celebration. Jordan's story offers us hope that the younger generation will end systemic racism. Let me share a little story about my daughter Mia, which encapsulates why the work of the Diversity Center is so important to me. Earlier this summer, I was driving with my 11-year-old daughter across town to get some ice cream. We hit a red light at an intersection. Across the intersection were several young people with signs, mostly Black Lives Matter signs. My daughter, who is biracial, she looked at me and she asked, "Mom, what am I considered?" I knew what she meant. I said, "Mia, you're mixed race, you're black and white." So as we began to cross the intersection, Mia said to me, "Mom, honk your horn." I did, and she gave the young people holding the signs the thumbs up with a big smile across her face. I never want bias, bigotry, and racism to be obstacles in my daughter's journey through life. I want her to know that her life matters. I want all the young people to know that their lives matter, their dreams matter. The funds raised by this humanitarian celebration allow our vitally needed school and youth programs to reach and teach so many young people like Jordan and Mia. Your gift will make a tremendous impact across an entire school or in a single classroom. Please donate to our Fund a Need program. You will find the link to our Fund a Need donation form in the chat. If you can donate $25,000 to support a school's strategic planning for diversity, equity, and inclusion, or $25, your every dollar will change young lives. The moment is now.
Thank you, Tracy. Education is the core of the Diversity Center's work. Our training enables leaders of all ages, especially children, teens, and young adults, to embrace differences and become agents of change. Now, let's honor one of our most impactful youth programming alums, Khalil Cage, who is the winner of the Diversity Student Citizenship Award, and 2 pioneering educators who are receiving the Diversity Education and Citizenship Leadership Award. Dr. Deborah Richardson Phillips, Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and Christian Sanders, Assistant Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at St. Ignatius High School.
Thank you guys for this award. I've been a proud volunteer for the Diversity Center for the past 5 years. My life has changed in ways that were previously unimaginable. In year 1, I got to know staff and students, and my heart shifted, and I wanted to activate change in a whole new way. I adopted the powerful philosophy of rethinking the world from how it is to how it could be. When I had the opportunity to serve as a volunteer staff at the 2016 Fall Retreat, I met more than 100 bright students from schools all over Northeast Ohio. I also helped with Camp Star and their empowering conferences for middle school and high school students. Each time that the Diversity Center gave me the opportunity to work with students, my love for mentorship grew and my passion for social justice grew abundantly. The Diversity Center caused me to change my major from business to the field of social change through mentorship. In my studies at Kent State University, I've looked for opportunities to spark social change. The world we live in seems almost hopeless, but by challenging youth to become agents of change in their schools and communities, we can create a more equitable Northeast Ohio. Changes have not happened from the top down, they must happen from the bottom up, with the young people. That's what the Diversity Center does. It takes all of us to create a better, more loving world, and it takes your help too. The moment is now.
Hello, I'm Dr. Deborah Richardson Phillips, Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at St. Ignatius High School, Cleveland. With my colleague, Christian Sanders, we are honored to accept the Diversity Education and Citizenship Leadership Award. The Diversity Center plays a critical role in helping educators create learning environments that promote respect, acceptance, and inclusion. Frederick Douglass once said, "It's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." We believe that at St. Ignatius High School, which is why we've partnered with the Diversity Center for the past 14 years to educate our community with the hope of eradicating racism. Our partnership positively impacts our mission, our commitment to forming young men in faith, and our pledge to graduate men for others who are intellectually and culturally competent. I'm humbled to join a long line of advocates recognized for the work we are doing in schools with young people. Because of your support of the Diversity Center, we at St. Ignatius are able to prepare a new generation of leaders who will build a stronger, more innovative, and more inclusive region. Thank you. The moment is now.
Good evening. I'm Mark Ross, a proud board member of the Diversity Center and the recently retired managing partner for PwC here in Northeast Ohio. It is once again my honor to introduce this year's recipient of the PwC Outstanding Lead Diversity Alumni Award. Before introducing this year's winner, I want to say a few words about what PwC has been doing recently as it pertains to the important issue of diversity, equity, inclusion, and social justice. Given all the recent social unrest and compounding issues of 2020, there has been a double down of efforts at PwC around social justice, both internally and externally. Internally, staff are being encouraged and supported to contribute their time and money to social justice organizations. Externally, the scope of CEO action for diversity and inclusion continues to grow with the CEO signatory base of over 1,300 and the recent launching of 250 new fellows to activate and advance social, racial equity, and engagement nationally. While I have retired from PwC after 33 amazing years, I remain incredibly proud of the leadership of the firm on these critical societal issues and passionately continue my personal engagement in our community around the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The work of the Diversity Center has never been more important than it is right now. Education and training around these important topics, including the Lead Diversity program, must be part of the solution, even if it has sadly become politicized to suggest it. For example, I was shocked and saddened when I recently learned that a participant chosen for the current Lead Diversity class had to withdraw from the program as being a federal employee. He would have potentially been in violation of an order that was issued by the administration in September, suspending diversity programs across federal agencies. I honestly don't know how we got here, but precious little seems surprising in 2020. With that said, 2021 is around the corner, so hopefully better days are in store. It is now my honor and privilege to introduce the 2020 PwC Lead Diversity Alumni Award honoree. But first, just a bit of background on the program itself. Lead Diversity is a year-long program that engages a select group of Northeast Ohio professionals to raise awareness of diversity issues, build leadership skills, and enhance their networks. The award recipient is chosen by alumni of the program to recognize someone who has leveraged the learnings from the program to become a positive change agent in their place of employment and our community. PwC is proud to sponsor the 15th Outstanding Lead Diversity Alumni Award, and this year's award recipient is Marcia Moreno. Marcia is a 2005 immigrant from Chile, a Latino community leader, founder and president of her consulting firm, a wife and mother, and a member of the 2010 Lead Diversity class. Please read her detailed bio in our eTribute book and join me in virtually congratulating our 2020 PwC Outstanding Lead Diversity Alumni Award recipient, Marcia Moreno. Thank you and good night.
It is an honor to receive this award from the Diversity Center. I thank the Center for helping me become who I am today, a person who is committed to social and racial justice. The Lead Diversity program gave me the tools to begin my journey of self-reflection, awareness, and action. Being a recent immigrant, I was somewhat unaware of the issues of injustice and prejudice in the United States. But diversity and equity issues became my life work, and Cleveland became my home. The Diversity Center helped me to commit deeply to a more just world for all. In particular, I committed to justice for Hispanic, Latinos, Latinx. I now understand that I must use my voice, that I must become a change agent for my community. In 2018, I founded And More, a consulting firm dedicated to helping organizations become Latino-ready. Latinos are the growth engine of this country, yet we're still being discriminated against, stereotyped, and disrespected in the workplace. There is so much work to be done to create a more inclusive and welcoming society, and I applaud the Diversity Center for its determined efforts to eliminate bias, bigotry, and racism. I thanked the Diversity Center for building a better community in Northeast Ohio, and for being my teacher and my inspiration. The moment is now.
Hello, I am Tony Weber, CEO of Goldfarb Weber Creative Media and a board director for the Diversity Center. I am pleased to introduce the 5th video in our award-winning Rethink series, which encourages us to rethink the way we interact with each other, the perspectives from which we view issues, and the ways in which we can take action. Tonight, we will premiere Rethink Inclusion. Rethink Inclusion explores how we can use this moment as an opportunity to create the kind of future we want for our younger generation. The Diversity Center's youth programming has empowered countless young people to become inclusion change agents. Our programming inspires students to view themselves as leaders who have the power to create the change they want to see in the world. It is up to us to create more diverse, equitable, and inclusive communities. I ask that you do all that you possibly can to help the Diversity Center to advance its mission of eliminating bias, bigotry, and racism. The moment is now to rethink inclusion. Thank you.
I think about the things that they used to say to me, things that I really had no control over.
I was probably one of the most bullied kids in school.
That one small little comment would control how I would act for the next few years.
Being like African American, like I get racial profiled like a lot. The owner of the store said like, yo, you nigga, let's get out my store because you're stealing. Like I didn't come out the house for 3 days. Like I just was so hurt.
I see swastikas drawn on bathroom stalls, on signs. I see people shouting racist remarks at people, people making racist jokes.
It's still a learning process on how we can actually unify and come together when there is so much hatred that runs across the United States.
The problem's still here. No one else is fixing it, so now it's all up to us. Who else is gonna do it?
We need the younger generation to step up and help to bring us together, and the Diversity Center is helping to make that possible.
The Diversity Center has really expanded my outlook on certain topics and certain things about myself.
The Diversity Center is helping us to make a more inclusive world. If we want to make a difference for the future, it starts with our younger generation.
As a generation, we're going to have to address some of these issues in the future no matter what. We are the change that's going to come, and whether they like it or not.
learn other people's stories. To be around diversity is something that I love because you always learn.
I hope that by the time that I have kids, it will be a safe place for them where they will be accepted as who they are.
We have to come together, and if we do so, our country will thrive.
Hello, I'm Peggy Zone Fisher, and I'm honored to be President and CEO of the Diversity Center. Thank you for your generous support of our work for so many years, and thank you, Sally Grease, for allowing us to honor you this year. We all just saw our new powerful video, #RethinkInclusion. So tonight, I ask that we rethink what inclusion means. We are all living through a defining moment in history. The convergence of two crises is testing our resolve. The coronavirus has created the most challenging environment we've ever experienced, while racism and hate have made our mission more important than ever. We are the only organization in Ohio with the mission focused on addressing and eliminating bias, bigotry, intolerance, and racism. Our mission must be our call to action. The moment is now. Though we face difficult times, we are adapting, innovating, and continuing to develop and grow. Every day, we're working with young men and women, trying to sort through the conflicting messages of love and hate, optimism and despair, understanding and blame, praise and ridicule. Some feel out of place, frustrated, misunderstood. They are vulnerable to the idea that someone else is responsible for their discontent. They blame scapegoats, people of color, feminists, immigrants, Jews, Muslims, Latinos, LGBTQ people. Others feel isolated and alone because they look or feel different. Because in the age of texting and social media, there's no escape from the bullying, the torment, and the hate. They grow up believing that they don't belong. And tragically, for some, suicide is a land beyond pain. That's why we focus not only on fighting bigotry and hate, but on education that promotes self-esteem, respect, and understanding. We teach children and youth that true strength, courage, and leadership come from respecting and lifting others up. Our success as an organization and our success as a community depends on our ability to reject bigotry, fear, and hate. So when you support our work, you help create a new generation of leaders who embrace optimism, diversity, understanding, and hope. Your support makes our extraordinary work possible. Thank you for all you do for the Diversity Center. The moment is now.
I am Robin Minter-Smyers, a partner at the law firm Thompson Hine. I am also the daughter of Steve and Dolly Minter, a pioneering interracial couple who believed passionately in being intentional about combating racism, bias, and bigotry, and building relationships across difference. My parents' beliefs led them to the Diversity Center. My mom, Dolly, served as a director of the Diversity Center for 40 years. Yes, 40 years. And my parents were recipients of the Diversity Center's Humanitarian Award in 1991. It was one of their greatest honors. They would have been so pleased to be here with their dear friends, Bob and Sally Grease, to see Sally honored. I do my best to follow in my parents' footsteps. A course I highly recommend. So I joined my mother on the board of the Diversity Center in 2009 and have been proud to serve the organization and its mission ever since. As I suspect is true for many Diversity Center supporters, service is a family tradition. In service of this tradition, I want to ask each of you to support the work of the Diversity Center. Funds raised by this celebration are critical to the success of our outstanding school and youth programs. You will find the link to our Fund a Need donation form in the chat. $20,000 supports an in-school diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice leader in one school. $5,000 supports our award-winning Rethink video series for one grade level in one school. $3,500 supports 2 4-session You Lead series in one school. $500 supports 1 You Lead workshop. Please click the link in the chat and give what you can. Every dollar matters. Now is the time to show your support.
Molly and I are delighted to join Dee and Jimmy Haslam as the honorary co-chairs for this important event celebrating Sally Grease as the Diversity Center's 66th Annual Humanitarian Award recipient. Sally's commitment to our community and the Diversity Center's mission is so inspiring.
Sally has always been a trailblazer who has stood for equity and equality, beginning with her founding in the 1970s of one of the first woman-owned wealth management companies in the country. She succeeded in building her successful company in a white male-dominated industry and has continued to break down barriers through her commitment to many important civic causes.
Today, Sally continues to blaze trails as the chairperson of the Cleveland Foundation. During what might be the most important and pivotal moment in Cleveland's history, she is leading the charge to tackle structural and systemic racism in our community.
The Diversity Center's work has never been more important than it is today. Now is the time to support its great work. Sally, we are so proud to call you our friend, and we congratulate you on this wonderful and very deserving humanitarian award.
Congratulations, Sally, on your very well-deserved humanitarian award, and to the Diversity Center for its critical role in our community. We encourage each of our guests to join Sally and the Diversity Center in the fight to end racism in our community. The moment is now.
Good evening. I'm Ron Richard, President and CEO of the Cleveland Foundation, and I'm delighted to join you for the 17th year in a row at this important annual Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio event. Of course, this year we're assembling virtually, but that does not diminish the fact that the mission and work of the Diversity Center, as demonstrated by events of the past few years, is more important than ever. Tonight, I have the great honor and distinct pleasure of introducing the winner of this year's Humanitarian Award, my very dear friend and boss, Sally Grease. I think that most people are aware of the fact that Sally entered the male-dominated financial field in the late 1960s and established the first female-owned registered investment advisory firm in Ohio. In that role, she has certainly seen to the welfare of her clients and the community, but she's demonstrated her humanitarian spirit to our nation and Northeast Ohio in so many other ways throughout her entire life. During college, Sally tutored high school girls in English and public speaking in Chicago's public housing projects to help them achieve their great potential. While building a startup business, she found time to chair the board of the Women's Law Fund, which funded the litigation of precedent-setting gender discrimination cases to establish enforcement of the 1964 Civil Rights Act all across the nation. Sally has served this community on a great number of nonprofit boards. She was a founding member of the Youth Opportunities Unlimited Board, an organization that provides work internships for youth living in economically distressed areas in Northeast Ohio, and she served on the board of the Phyllis Wheatley Association, which provides services to elderly residents and youth in the core city, just to name a few. It has been my great privilege to work with and learn from Sally during these past 8.5 years, while she has served as a member of the Foundation's board and then as our board chair. Among her wide array of accomplishments while on our board, she played a key leadership role in the board and staff's decision to move our headquarters from downtown to the Huff Midtown area so that we can be more proximate to some of the historically disinvested neighborhoods that we serve. From this new location, and with the headquarters designed to be open and accessible to the community, we will be able to greatly advance our racial equity work. Sally helped to lead our efforts to create the COVID-19 Rapid Response Fund and the Foundation's new Black Futures Fund to invest in African American leadership in Cleveland. Her leadership in overseeing our new 10-year strategic plan, aimed at making anti-racism the centerpiece of the Foundation's work, will be one of her many legacies here at the Foundation. Finally, it's been such a pleasure for me to work so closely with Sally and to witness her empathy and human compassion on an almost daily basis. The staff adores her, and for good reason. Tonight, we celebrate the many ways that Sally has advanced diversity and inclusion across Northeast Ohio through her exemplary civic, charitable, and professional leadership. And so, I would like to personally congratulate Sally on her well-deserved recognition as the 2020 Humanitarian Award honoree.
Thanks, Ron, and congratulations, Sally. Let me ask you, why is the work of the Diversity Center so important to you?
First, Russ, I would like to thank you for facilitating this conversation. And Ron, thank you for the lovely introduction. I am deeply honored to be this year's recipient of the Diversity Center's Humanitarian Award, and I would like to thank the many donors who supported tonight's program in making this event a success. This award means a great deal to me because I believe in the Diversity Center's mission to eliminate bias, bigotry, and racism.
Through your work on boards both in Cleveland and nationally, you continue to prioritize service and philanthropy. What inspires you to do this work?
Community service has always been a family value. My personal experience with discrimination has also been a factor. When I wanted a career on Wall Street in the late 1960s, I got a lot of pushback, which was challenging, but it also inspired me to fight for women's rights. I joined the board of the Women's Law Fund, which funded precedent-setting lawsuits for gender discrimination cases. Our successes had nationwide impact for many women, including winning the right for pregnant school teachers to teach their students in the classroom, gaining women's access to higher-paying police and fire department jobs, and helping break down the barriers to job promotions at universities and corporations. Realizing that I could help drive broad systems change and not be victimized by discrimination inspired me to devote a good part of my life's work to helping others.
Can you talk about some of your recent projects?
Most of my current projects are centered on the work of the Cleveland Foundation. We're addressing glaring socioeconomic disparities due to racism by changing the systems that perpetuate these injustices. There are several innovative projects we're working on, along with many partner foundations, corporations, and individuals. I'd like to briefly mention 3. Say Yes is a Cleveland Public School program that changes the system by breaking down the barriers to learning through wraparound services and programs so students can learn and thrive. Upon graduation, it provides scholarships for college and certificate programs so that students can gain the knowledge and skills to qualify for a livable wage job. This program began 1.5 years ago and, although still in its rollout period, we're already seeing more motivated students and significant positive change in attendance and learning. Another system change initiative is our headquarters move to Midtown. This move is not just about a new building. Rather, the board has committed to a 25-plus year project to further the economic renewal that is already underway in Midtown and its adjacent neighborhoods. We're building on our past investments in Midtown by creating a health tech corridor with our many institutional partners, donors, and neighbors. The corridor will be a driver for economic growth in our region provide new job opportunities at all levels, new job training centers, affordable housing and amenities that our neighbors want so that our neighbors can stay and thrive while attracting new neighbors. If we are successful, we will have a place-keeping model that will inspire other cities to do the same. Another initiative addresses our region's digital equity divide. About 25% of Clevelanders have no access to the internet. This systemic divide will be eliminated as we work with our partners in supporting the new Greater Cleveland Digital Equity Fund to make sure that everyone in Cleveland has internet access so students can learn, adults can access job opportunities, and the elderly can connect with their health care providers.
Why do you think it's important now to support the Diversity Center's programming, and why is it important to inspire young people to get involved?
The pandemic is clearly a seminal event. We're suffering tragic human loss, glaring racial inequities and injustices, and a changed world. There's no going back. We are undergoing transformational change. And I believe this change holds great promise for a better, more equitable future. One of my reasons for optimism is the Diversity Center. It's at the forefront of this change. Through its programs and consulting services, it educates and inspires people of all ages to value diversity and inclusion. I'm inspired by its dedication to building a future where everyone is connected, respected, and valued. I hope we all embrace the change that is upon us so that we can work together towards a more equitable society. And I hope that young people will feel inspired to work hard to understand what this change is all about, be active participants, and face the future with optimism. After all, it's their future we're talking about. In closing, I would like to once again thank the Diversity Center for this very special recognition.
All right, Sally, and once again, congratulations.
Good evening. I'm Sip Barreto, a partner at Squire Patton Boggs, and I'm very proud to be the board chair for the Diversity Center. First, let me congratulate Sally Grease once again. Thank you, Sally, for all you have done to make Northeast Ohio a kinder, more just, and more equitable community. You are very deserving of the title Humanitarian. At the Diversity Center, we will always be committed to building towards a better future. Every year, our school and youth programs reach more than 10,000 students throughout Northeast Ohio. We help those students discover their voices and become powerful allies, advocates, and agents of change on behalf of equality in their schools and communities. If you are able, I ask you to give to our Fund a Need so that we can increase our impact in Northeast Ohio. The money you donate will go directly to our school and youth programming and allow us to reach more students and educators. Fund a Need will remain open after tonight, and you can make your donation at diversitycenterneo.org. I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight in heart and spirit for the Humanitarian Award celebration. As you've seen, this hasn't been a normal Humanitarian Award evening, but in so many ways, this isn't a normal time. With an ongoing pandemic, social injustice, and an economic crisis upsetting our daily lives, the weight of the times we are living in can feel overwhelming. But if there is one thing that this year has taught us, it's that to make change, we must continue to fight and not lose hope. Perhaps better than anyone, Congressman John Lewis understood the power of hope and optimism in the face of this fight. Just 1 month before his death, he left us with this call to action. We must use our time and our space on this little planet that we call Earth to make a lasting contribution, to leave it a little better than we found it. And now, that need is greater than ever before. He was right. And now it's our collective responsibility to continue the fight. Congressman Lewis also said, "We may not have chosen the time, but the time has chosen us." The moment is now to make our lasting contribution. The moment is now for us to leave the world a little better than we found it. The moment is now to take action and commit to making 2020 the inflection point in the battle to end bias, bigotry, and racism. I look forward to seeing you again in person for the 2021 Humanitarian Award Dinner, and I thank you for your support of the Diversity Center.
Congratulations once again to each of our award winners, and especially our Humanitarian Award honoree, Sally Grease. Thank you for joining us for this virtual celebration and for your support of our transformational work. The need is real, the moment is now. You can help the Diversity Center make real change in Northeast Ohio today by donating to our Fund a Need program. Once again, thank you for watching. Good night.
Please support the great work of the Diversity Center.
The moment is now.
For generations, young people have been a catalyst for change.
The moment is now.
Let's create communities where all people are valued.
The moment is now.
The moment is now for our youth to be educated on celebrating diversity and learning to use their voice.
Young people's lives matter. Their dreams matter.
Now is the time for more inclusive leadership. The moment is now.
Apoye al Diversity Center. Ahora es el momento.
We need a more inclusive society. The moment is now.
Democrats, Republicans, and independents must come together to fight systemic racism. The moment is now.
Support the Diversity Center because the moment is now.
This work is tremendously important. The moment is now.
The moment is now.
The moment is now.
The moment is now.